Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, So Little Time, and my name is Karen. In today's vlog I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I've been making since about February. It's been a while since I've uploaded a makes vlog and I put it out to vote as to whether you wanted to see everything that I've been making in one video or to spread it over two, and the majority of you did vote for it in one video, so this might be a long one. So if you grab yourself a drink and then we'll get started. To showing you what I've been making. I've got about, I think, 9 things to show you today. So I'll firstly start off with what I'm wearing, and this is the Safiya Jumpsuit by Tilly and the Buttons, and that's from her book Make It Simple, which I've got just here. So this one here, and I've put a bookmark in just to show you the jumpsuit, but I'm pretty sure most of you will have seen this. So it's this version here. I've used a quilting cotton, which probably isn't the best fabric to use for this project because it's not got very much drape, and I do think that this jumpsuit does look a lot better in a drapier fabric, but I wanted to give it just a try out first before I tried it in a more sort of drapey fabric, because that is quite difficult to work with sometimes. So this fabric that I've made it in is from Minerva, and I've got that in return for a blog post, so that'll be going up later on their website this year. So firstly, I wasn't really sure what size to go for, because usually I'm a size 3 in her stretch garments or anything that has a lot of ease in it, and in a size 4 is what I usually make for her woven patterns. So I wasn't really sure whether to go for the 3 or the 4, because this does have quite a lot of room in it. The only thing is, it is designed to be made without any openings or fastenings, and you just sort of wiggle it on. And in the book she suggests to try it on once you've made the facing up, and just see if you can wiggle that on over your hips. So that is what I did. I made the facing up first and interfaced it as she instructed. And then when I tried to wiggle into it, I actually ripped the interfacing that was attached to the facing piece, and I thought, goodness, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this over my hips. So I just made the jumpsuit up in a size 4, and then whilst I was making it up, I decided to insert a side zip. Since doing that, I actually have found that I can get the jumpsuit on and off without undoing the zip, so I probably didn't actually need to put one in the end, but it was just as when I was in the trying on process of making it, it just seemed that it was going to be a little bit tight. So I have found that it is quite baggy around my top area, and you can see here, this is where I've inserted the side seam, the side zip there, and I didn't follow any tutorial or any instructions, I just kind of winged it, and I was really pleased that I managed to do it just sort of off my own back without having to follow any instructions or anything like that. I just left the side seam open, and then I think this is a 9-inch zip that I've inserted, and I just one that I had at home, and it's a navy blue one actually, so it's not even the right colour, but I have made it invisible. So I am pleased with the jumpsuit overall, and the fit of it, although it is quite baggy at the top, and I have found that the straps actually fall down quite regularly when I'm hoovering or doing any kind of motion work, that then they tend to fall off quite easily. And so next time, because there will be a next time for me making this jumpsuit, I will move the straps at the back just more sort of into the centre slightly, so there isn't such a big gap. When I inserted the zip, I did try to use a slightly bigger seam allowance to bring it in slightly, but I was aware obviously that I didn't want to lose the shape too much by taking in too much on one side, so I have left it fairly roomy, because I know you are supposed to wear a top underneath it. What I also have found with this pattern is that the rise is quite short on me, but I don't think it's the trousers that I have the problem with, because I have found that I do get a little bit bum hungry with these, and I think what I need to do next time is actually lengthen the bodice by about 1 inch. Now what I'll do is show you where the waistline is sitting on me. Okay, so the waistline is here. You probably won't be able to see it very well because it's such a dark fabric, but there's my seam line, and there is my waist tie, which I have slightly lower, so there is probably about ½ inch there. So if I lengthen it by an inch, I think next time it will sit at the right place, because when I put my hands on my hips, there's my waist and the waistline is here. So it's just running slightly higher than where I think it should be. So I think that's why I need to lengthen the bodice. Now I don't really like wearing this jumpsuit without the belt on it, because it is very roomy. As you can see here, I've got a lot of room around here in my hips, and even at the back I have quite a lot of excess there, and again at the back here it gapes quite a lot, so I cannot wear it without a top on underneath. If I move back further, you'll see where it comes to on me. So I've just got it on with sandals today, and it's just about 3 inches above my ankle. And I do quite like wearing these with trainers as well. I'll just bring you back up. And I did find that the facing did flip out, and it is quite a narrow facing. So I'll come in closer so I can show you that I've actually put some bias binding around the edge of the facing just to give it a bit of stability. And I've understitched it as well to stop it flipping out. But I did find that the back was flipping out quite a lot. So what I've done is actually put a label in the back, which I got from Crafty Pinup. Overall, I'm really pleased with the jumpsuit itself. It's quite a nice relaxed wear. I have been pulling it out of my wardrobe a lot more than I thought I was going to, but I definitely want to try it in a drapier fabric for my next one, and I will add that inch to the waist line just so it sits a lot more comfortably, because I do keep pulling it down around my crotch area, which isn't the best thing. Yeah, but overall it's, you know, a nice wear just for sort of dossing about the house really. I do feel a little bit self-conscious wearing it when I'm out, because it is quite bum hungry, so I just feel like when I'm walking I'm conscious of maybe people looking. I don't know. Ridiculous. I usually style this up with a denim jacket, and I'll either wear my sandals or my sort of Adidas style trainers. Yeah, and that's how I wear it, and I've got a cocoa top on with it today, and that's how I style it up really. Yes, so I haven't made the little loops on the side of the jumpsuit for where the belt is supposed to sit through, just because it wouldn't be sitting in the right place for me, that's for sure. And I do find, because I haven't got the loops on, obviously when I go to the toilet I have to take this belt off and just put it to one side, which it is a little bit frustrating that you can't just sort of take the jumpsuit off and put it straight back on. You have to mess about with the belt a little bit. But yes, it was a fairly straightforward make. Obviously not as quick for me because I added that side zip in, but next time I'll probably leave that off. This is a quilting cotton, but it has got a very slight bit of stretch in it. So it's not like your cotton poplin or anything that is really, really tight. So it doesn't give you any ease in it. Yes, so that's this make. Okay, so I shall go and get changed into my second make. Okay, so earlier this year I shared with you some knitting that I was doing, and I have actually managed to finish the cardigan. And I'm really, really pleased with how it has turned out. It's an absolutely gorgeous colour wool. It's this lovely sort of cherry red, and it's got a lovely cable effect across the top here and all across the back as well. It's long sleeved, and then if I just pull you down, you'll see that it does come quite low. It's low hip, which I really like that length. Really happy with that. And I'm really pleased with how the button band has gone on. There's no sort of wibbling or wobbling on it. It's not quite finished just because I've not had chance to put any buttons on, and that is because I've not been able to go into town to get any to match them up with the colour. Yeah, so I'll be really looking forward to wearing this in the colder months, and I'll just sort of probably do up the first maybe 2 or 3 buttons. Yeah, so that's what I'll get when I manage to go into town. I'll quickly show you the pattern. So it's a King Cole pattern, number 4405, this one here. And it's made with chunky wool, so it does grow fairly quickly. And it says it's an easy knit. And I think I made the size 32 to 34 inch bust, which is perfect for me. yeah, really happy with it. So that's this one. Bit season inappropriate at the moment, but it will definitely get lots of wear when we go back into the colder months. Okay, so I shall go and get changed into my next make. Okay, so I've actually got my next two makes on for you. So I'll firstly talk about the top, and this is the Peppermint magazine wrap top by In the Folds. So I think it's actually In the Folds who designed the pattern, and then Peppermint magazine who actually supply the pattern. I think that's right. It's a free pattern which you get off the Peppermint magazine website. So you just download it, and it's a PDF that you just print out. I actually sent the PDF to be printed off on A0, as I prefer to do that than stick them together. Although there isn't actually too many pattern pieces, I don't think, for this particular pattern. So I'll show you the line drawing first of all. It's just here. And I'd seen some lovely versions on Instagram, so I was really inspired to have a go at making it myself. I decided to use a cotton poplin fabric that you might recognise from when I did my pattern haul, fabric and pattern pairings earlier this year. I initially think I had this lined up to make a Lulu dress by Tilling the Buttons, but I have found that the poplin cottons from Minerva are quite narrow, so I didn't think I'd be able to get that dress actually fitted on to the fabric. So I decided to have a go at making this. Now when you lay the pattern pieces on the fabric for this one, for the wrap section, you do that single-sided. So I did use the whole of the width of the fabric for the wrap section, and then the ties were on the fold, I believe. At the time of making this pattern, what I didn't realise was that the ties are actually single-sided, so you do see the reverse of the fabric when you tie it up. And with this being quite a bold fabric with the zigzag kind of stripes on it, I didn't really want the reverse of the fabric showing. I didn't think that would look very professional, so I have actually made the ties double-sided, and I'll explain how I did that in just a moment. So the size that I went for was the size C, so they don't do it in sizes like 6, 8, 10, 12, they do it in letters. So the high bust for the size C is 31 7/8 of an inch, and then the bust is 33 7/8 of an inch, and then the waist is 28 inches, which is all slightly smaller than what I actually am, but it does give you the finished garment measurements, and the bust for the size C is 43 inches, so you can see there is quite a lot of ease in the pattern. And I had a look through other people's posts on Instagram just to get a rough idea of what sizes people had been making for those that had shared their body measurements and the size that they've made. So I do find that really helpful. So I hope me giving you the information with regards to the size that I make and my body measurements, that it helps you in deciding what size to make if you ever do make anything that I show. So I was really pleased that I went with the size C. Initially I was still a little bit dubious as to whether it was going to be a little bit big when I was sewing it up, because when I was trying it on without the sleeves, it did still seem quite a loose fit on me. But actually having it is a wrap top, you can obviously pull the ties tighter to bring it in a little bit more. However, I do think that the sleeve head fits perfectly on the edge of my shoulders, so I think it is the right size for me. So it's quite a nice wrap that goes all the way around your body, so there is no worry of any gaping or any flashing. So I'll just pull you down. So you can see it's got quite a big bow here, and you can, I suppose, have it tied at the side. I like to have it tied in the middle, and there is a hole actually in the side of the bodice here where the tie goes through, comes out the other side, and then you pull both the ties round and into the bow. So you can cinch it in quite a lot. I haven't lengthened the pattern at all, so this is where it sits on me. So it is quite a short wrap. I don't think it's as short as the Ella blouse by Sew Over It. It is a little bit longer than that version, I think. What I did do though was I actually made the length of the ties the same length as basically the largest pattern size. So I didn't use the size C, I used the largest size. And also, like I said, these ties would usually show the reverse of the fabric, but as you can see, I have actually doubled it. And to do that, I'll show you if I unwrap it. You'll see here that I have actually just made the straps double and then have sewn them on, so you can see my overlocking stitches. What you would usually see there is where you can see how I have folded over the edge and just top stitch that down, that would usually run all the way along the edge, and the same at the bottom. But obviously you can see my overlocking stitches on that section there because of how I've basically doubled the ties, and it is a little bit confusing as to how the wrap actually goes round. As you can see, it goes like this. In the past, when I've had wrap tops, I have had it where each side of the bodice has got a hole for the straps to be fed through, but on this one it's only on one side, so I wasn't quite sure how they overlapped at the back, but once you sort of get the knack and have a little play around, it looks absolutely fine. You know, and it is quite nice to have a bit of generous ease in the pattern so it doesn't sit too tightly. Yeah, so there's lots of room. I think this pattern is designed to be made in, again, a drapier fabric, perhaps something like a linen, but I decided to go with, again, a cotton poplin just to try it out, but I'm really pleased with the finished effect, and I like the length of the sleeves as well, so they're a little bit like a bell sort of shaped sleeve, I suppose. They're inset sleeves, so you do have to gather them slightly to fit into the head of the shoulders, but that went in absolutely no problem, and I've not got any gathers, so I was really pleased with that because I haven't really done very many set in sleeves. So yes, overall really pleased with this top. I haven't worn it that much because I wanted to keep it nice and crisp and clean to show you, but I will be wearing it a lot more. So I shall get on to what I'm wearing it with. Now you probably will have seen this before because I have done a separate video which was in collaboration with Josie from It Is Josie. We did a collaboration together to make the Camden skirt by Nina Lee. So I shall just bring you down. So this is the skirt. I have showed you just this before. It's got nice big patch pockets on the front, which I have top stitched with some silver thread. And that's really nice to be able to do that because you actually top stitch those pockets before you attach them to the skirt. So it's nice to work with a small piece. I actually have lined my pockets with the same fabric as this top, so I'd already taken a piece of this fabric off this before I'd made the top. Yes, really pleased with this fit of this skirt. I made a straight size 12 with no changes to it whatsoever. It's got an invisible zip at the back, and the waist is also lined in the same fabric as the top, and it's fully lined skirt as well. So I'll just show you, there it is, there's the skirt, lining, fully lined, and I have bias bound both hems, so for the lining and for the skirt, just because I like that finish. So really pleased with that. So stand back and show you, that's how it looks together. So I really do like this outfit paired together. I think this top will look nice with high-waisted jeans as well, or perhaps high-waisted shorts, so that's something I might try in the future when I have an attempt at making something with a zip fly at the front. So I shall go off and get changed into my next make. Okay, so my next make is the New Look 6446 jumpsuit, and it's this pattern here. In the past, you know, I have made the full jumpsuit version, but this time I have decided to make the Playsuit version, which is just basically shorts on the end of the bodice. So again, I have used some quilting cotton from Minerva, again, in return for a blog post. So this fabric was gifted to me. So that will be going on their website again later this year. I did have quite a splurge of their fabrics at the beginning of the year, so I have got quite a few makes that I've done for them, which has set me up for quite a challenge to get all those blog posts written up now and to get photos taken. So I made the Playsuit version, so all I did was just recut out, I think it was, no, actually I didn't even recut, I just folded over where the short section finish of the jumpsuit legs of the pattern that I'd already got cut out. So this is a quilting cotton. It's very similar to the Peppermint wrap top fabric, that it's got this zigzag stripe across it, but it's in very sort of summery colours with greys and pinks and peach. And I've got it on with my Pink Coat Club Me Made pin that is upside down. Yeah, really pleased with this make. I wasn't again sure how this was going to turn out because the jumpsuit that I've made is in a a crepe material, which has got quite a good amount of drape to it and weight to it as well, because it's got that wool content in. Now this is a quilting cotton, like I say, so I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. So as I was making it up, it did feel slightly snugger on me, but as I've worn it, I think it's given a little bit more. So I managed to find a 16-inch zip in my stash, and I just had a pink one. So luckily it went with this outfit. So I've made the straight size 12, no alterations to it whatsoever, and that's the same size I've made for the jumpsuit. Now what I will say is, if you've not watched my video before on the jumpsuit, there is a lot of ease in the hip area of this pattern. So I'm a 34-inch bust, and I think the pattern finished garment measurements is a 35.5-inch around the bust. So that gives me 1.5 inches of ease. It doesn't give you the waist measurement, I don't think, but for the hips there is actually 6 inches of ease. So do bear that in mind if you ever make this pattern. So this fits me perfectly for the size 12, but there is, like I say, 6 inches difference from the waist measurement on the actual pattern for the body measurements to the finished garment measurements. Okay, so I should just sort of bring you down so you can see the full garment. So you can see that it's nicely nipped in at the waist. It's got these very big deep pockets, and there you are, you can see that it is shorts length. And then, oh, you can see my blue bra, I'm really sorry. I do actually need to adjust these straps because I haven't made them tight enough, so they are a little bit gapey, so they need bringing in down here like that, and you won't obviously then see my bra. So I do need to bring them in slightly, so I have to unpick it. But yes, it's nicely fitted with the invisible zip, so you can just see the pink pulley at the top, and the zip comes down to about there. So yes, nicely fitted. Not too tight, not too snug. Really pleased with how it has turned out. So you can see that I do have quite a small waist in comparison to my hips. So just bear that in mind, like I say, when you do, if you ever do make this pattern, that is quite a significant difference in the finished garment measurements to the body measurements. Now the finished garment measurements are actually on the tissue pattern paper, so you actually need to look for it on there. It's not on the back of the envelopes like some patterns are. But really, really pleased with this. I think it will be great for wearing on holiday. Not that we'll probably get one this year, but it'd be nice for wearing in the summer as well. I have worn it in the garden, so that's quite nice, and love the fact it's got these big deep pockets as well. Okay, so I shall get changed into my next make. Okay, so my next make is the Tilly and the Buttons Rosa Shirtdress, and this is the pattern here. As you can see, you can make it in a shirt or a dress. So the line drawings on the back, if I can show you. You'll see there's the dress version and there's the shirt version. So I went with the shirt version, and I've made it in some Lady McElroy fine needle cord fabric that I got from Bobbins and Buttons, who are based in Leicester. And I actually blog for Julia at Bobbins and Buttons. So I have made this for my blog post. So that is actually now live on her website. So I shall link the details for that blog down below. I am actually going to do a separate vlog all about the make of this dress, just because I've got quite a lot to say about it. So I won't go into too much detail on this vlog. But basically it's a very, very fine, soft needle cord fabric by Lady McElroy, and it is absolutely gorgeously soft to the touch. And I've had it for a little while. I did order it from Julia at the beginning of the year, and it sat there waiting to be made into this shirt dress. I knew exactly what I wanted to make with it as soon as I purchased the fabric. But yes, it did sit there for a little while until I sort of plucked up the courage to start making this, because even though it's a Tilly pattern and she obviously holds your hand all the way through making this, it is a bit more of an involved make in comparison to a lot of her patterns. Mainly because there are so many pattern pieces to it, and I did have to make sure that I stuck labels on the pattern pieces so I didn't get confused with which part was which, just because I did find when I sewed one panel of the dress to the other, it was wrong. So I had to unpick that, and I wondered why the curved seams weren't lining up properly, and that was why I think I got the back mixed up with the front piece or something. I wasn't 100% sure after having this fabric sitting in my stash for a little while, whether I actually liked the fabric anymore, because it is quite old-fashioned in its look, and even my husband said that looks like old sofa material, and I do know what he means, and when I've said it to my friends, they also know what he means as well. but it is beautiful. The pattern, the design of it is absolutely lovely, and like I say, it's so soft to the touch. So whilst I was making it up, I kept trying it on, and I actually quite liked the look of it sleeveless, so I decided not to add the sleeves on, even though I'd already cut them out in this fabric. So I did waste some fabric, unfortunately, but I'll just keep it for something else. I'm sure I can find some use for it. Yeah, so I've made it sleeveless, and I had a look in my stash as to what I could use to bias bind the armholes. And my auntie a little while ago had given me a big bag of fabric that she'd had in her house for quite a while, and she just said, you know, do you want this so you can use it for making up toiles and things like that? And I said, yes, definitely. So in there was actually a pink curtain, and it was quite a heavy curtain weight fabric, so it did have quite a big structure to it, and I thought, well, that all should work quite well for making my own bias binding. So that is what I did, and then I have attached it to the sleeves. So it's this light pink material here, and then I also did that for the inner collar section here, and in the pattern it does tell you to interface certain parts of the collar, obviously to give it that stability and to have it stand up, but because the curtain fabric was quite stable in itself, that I didn't actually interface those pieces, so I haven't actually interfaced any parts of this dress. And another reason for that is because I have actually interlined it. So I knew that this fabric was quite lightweight, and I wanted to be able to wear it with tights in the autumn as well. Needlecord does actually have that tendency to stick to tights, so that is why I decided to interline it, to both give the garment a bit more structure and to stop it sticking to tights if I was to wear it with tights in the autumn. So I ordered some lining fabric from Minerva, but when I ordered it online, obviously I got the colour wrong, so you can actually see it's a lot darker pink here. So that's a bit of a shame. I would have liked it sort of more this colour, but hey ho, you don't really see it too much up there. And then whilst I was making it up as well, I wasn't 100% sure as to whether I was going to top stitch where she instructs you to top stitch it, but then I tried a section of it whilst I was making it up and decided to go ahead and do that. But I haven't used a top stitching thread. What I have used is just a standard thread in a contrast colour, so you can just slightly see it here. It's like this beige kind of stitching across there, so that worked out really well. So I have top stitched every single panel where it tells you to, so that does take quite a little bit of time to make sure that I'm doing it accurately. I do slow my sewing down, and I'm really pleased that I have done it because I do like the effect that it has given. And like I say, I haven't interfaced it, so I've used that curtain material around the inner collar and also on the under collar just to give it that bit of contrast. And then it's on the inside of the sleeves, the bias bound sleeves. And then if I just pull you down so you can see the garment in full. So you'll see it nips in at the waist and then goes out quite A-line. And then what I did was actually added at the very bottom of the hem my bias bound hem, as I usually do, but I folded it so it keeps a little bit showing, just to add a contrast at the bottom. Because this is quite a busy print, I thought it would be nice just to have that little bit of contrast sticking out at the bottom, just to break it up slightly. I did order some snaps, so I did cheat. I didn't put buttonholes and buttons on. I decided to add snaps, and I did order some in a light pink colour, but they didn't actually turn up in the end because of the postal situation. So I've actually just used these forest green ones that I had already in my stash, and I actually think I prefer that now because it doesn't stand out too much. It blends in with the fabric and it goes with the greens that are also in it. So because this is quite an A-line shape, I had heard that it was quite roomy. So for this one, I have gone with the size 3, and there is still quite a lot of ease in it. As you can see, there's quite a lot of wiggle room in there. I'll show you the back. So lots of room to sit down and move around. It's really free flowing. It's not snuggle, anything like that on me. And like I say, that's the size 3, so it is quite generous. So bear that in mind as well. I think the finished garments measurements for the hip is a 43 inch, so that's quite a lot in comparison to the body measurements for a size 3. It's got lovely yoke detail at the back, so I shall try and turn around and show you that. If I bring you down slightly. You can see there's a nice yoke. It goes into like a V at the back. I have top stitched that as well. Yes, so really, really pleased with this dress and how it turned out. I took some lovely photos in the garden whilst we were having that gorgeous sort of summer period in May. And those photos are up on the Bobbins and Buttons blog. So if you want to have a full read of that review of the pattern, then just head over there and I'll put the link in the description box below for you. So a really nice make. I will definitely make it again. I'd like to try it in perhaps a chambray or a lightweight denim. So a plain fabric, and then I'd like to really accentuate that top stitching on it as well. Like I said, I didn't add interfacing to any part of this dress. So where the button placket is, because it's interlined, I just felt that I'd already got that extra bit of fabric there, which would have served the same purpose as interfacing, so I haven't done that, and I've just, like I said, put snaps on. So that's absolutely fine, and that worked really well. Okay, so I shall now go and get changed into another couple of my makes. So my next make isn't new to you, but it's the True Bias Ogden Cami, and I've made it in some more quilting cotton that I've got from Minerva, again in return for a blog post which will be uploaded again in the future on their website. If I come in closer, you should be able to see that it has got these little twigs on. And I just find quilting cotton works really, really well for this pattern. It just fits really nicely, and I just think it wears and washes really well, and it's really easy to construct together. So for this pattern I have made the size 4, which is for a 34-inch bust, a 28-inch waist and a 36-inch hip. I am a 29-inch waist and a 41-inch hip, and a 34-inch bust. So that fits me just perfectly, but I have lengthened the pattern by 2 inches at the short and lengthen lines, which are about in the middle of the cami top, and I have done the same for the facing pieces as well, just so they come down slightly lower than where they usually sit around here. I just like them a little bit lower. So I shall just zoom you down so you can see the fit on me. So it just kind of comes to mid-hip on me, and the V fits really nicely at the back. I would usually wear it without a bra actually, this one particularly, because it is my pyjama top. So my jumpsuit that I just showed you, the Playsuit version, that fabric I think I showed you at the beginning of the year, and I did have plans to make that into some pyjamas, which were either going to be the Margot Pyjama Bottoms with a cami top, or the Carolyn pyjamas, but I was a bit optimistic with fitting those pattern pieces onto that fabric, because like I say, the quilting cottons do come up very narrow, and there was no way I was going to be able to fit those pattern pieces on, unfortunately. So luckily I managed to use that fabric for the jumpsuit Playsuit instead. So I ordered, I think, 2 meters of this fabric from Minerva, and you can see that I have just managed to get the Ogden cami out of it, plus a headband I think I made as well. So that was just enough fabric. So 2 meters of this narrow fabric was just enough for the Ogden, and usually for the Ogden I can use 1 meter of fabric. So it is very narrow fabric. Yes, so really pleased with this. Not a lot to say about it, very basic. It's just really nice to wear when I go to sleep at night. It's cool, it's comfortable. Yeah, that's all I've really got to say about this pattern. So moving on to my next make, I'm actually wearing with this top because it is, again, my pyjamas. So I have made the Margot Pyjamas by Tilly and the Buttons, and it's from her book Love at First Stitch, which was her first book. And this is the pyjama bottoms here. Really, really basic pattern, really, really easy to make. So if you are a beginner, I highly recommend this pattern for you to try out. I know she has since released a new pattern of late called the Jamie Pyjamas, and I think there is a shorts version included in that, and I think she's included sizing for teenagers as well, so it sort of goes over a wider size range. And I know she has extended her size range as well to incorporate for larger people, so that's really good, although it does cause a lot of problems tracing over patterns, I have found, in her new book. There's a lot of lines to try and follow. So I shall pan you down so you can see the pyjama bottom. Okay, hopefully you can see this. So again, quilting cotton from Minerva in return for another blog post. Really, really pleased with this. Now I had 2 meters of this fabric, and there wasn't enough to get the full pyjama bottom out. So if I stand back, you will see that I have added a contrast cuff at the bottom. Well, it's not actually even a cuff, it is just a contrast section at the bottom to make it the length that they should be. And that fabric at the bottom is exactly the same as this. So I've made it a set. I'm really, really pleased with how they fit. So the size of the pyjama bottoms is the size 4. So I'll see if I can show you the fabric a bit closer. As you can see, it's got lovely mustards and greens in with these twigs again, so it does really go well with the top. So it does tell you to make a drawstring waist, which I have made the channel for the drawstring, but instead of just having that drawstring tie in there, so every time you needed to go to the toilet you would undo the tie, loosen it off and then obviously sit down, I decided I wanted it as an elasticated waist, and I think the Jamie pyjama bottoms do that. There is a tutorial on Tilly's YouTube channel which I watched the other day purely because I wanted to see if it was the same pattern as these, and it basically is, although I think she did answer a comment on there to say that the legs are slightly slimmer, so they're not as baggy, because these are quite a baggy pyjama, but do you know what, that's so comfy for wearing in bed, so you can't really go wrong. And I have found quilting cotton does actually bag out as you wear it. I have found that with my Safiya jumpsuit, that the knees have started to bag out a little bit on it, and it just feels there's more room in it as I've worn it, and that goes without saying for the top of this and also these bottoms. I have freshly washed them for this vlog because I wanted to show you them nice and crisp and clean. I will say something about this top, and that is I have found that it has started to discolour around here because of my deodorant, which I find really annoying. It wouldn't obviously bother me if it was in a darker colour because you wouldn't see it, but on a white it does tend to do that. I haven't got dirty armpits or anything, I promise. I do shower regularly, but I have found that my deodorant has started to stain it, and I do use a good brand of deodorant as well, so I just think, you know, unfortunately that's what happens when you wear something quite regularly, because I do wear this to bed quite regularly. So I am planning on making a pair of shorts to wear to bed, so when it is really hot I've got something a little bit cooler to wear, and I'll just make these again and just cut them off shorter and maybe add a pretty little ruffle on the edge or something. So really pleased with the overall look of this pyjama set. I shall again stand back for you. As you can see, I've got my sandals on still, but I don't wear those to bed obviously. But yes, really pleased. So like I say, a lot of ease in there, you know, really, really nice and comfy. Okay, so for my final make then, I shall pop on. It's actually, again, for Bobbins and Buttons. It was a pattern test that I did for her earlier this year. The pattern has since been released, but I don't actually have the pattern to physically show you because she just emailed me the instructions on how to make it, and there wasn't actually any photos at that time. So I shall insert a photo now of what it looks like. Okay, and I shall now just go and put it on for you. Okay, so this pattern is the Yvonne Coatigan by Bobbins and Buttons. So basically it's in between a coat and a cardigan, hence the word Coatigan. And I have already made a Coatigan in the past, the Sew Over It Jessie Coatigan, and I really, really liked that. And I also have obviously made the Blackwood cardigan quite a lot of times. So I decided to make this Coatigan in a Ponte fabric, so rather than a coating fabric, because it did give you the option to do that, and it did say that you could use boucle as well, and I had saw a really nice version of that she did send a photo through to me, and I think that is now on the pattern. So I got this fabric from Julia at Bobbins and Buttons, and it's actually like a cable knit Ponte, as you can see. And I know this fabric has been quite widely available at lots of different fabric shops, and I have seen quite a lot of other people use this fabric to make garments. So I wasn't initially drawn to it, but then when I was looking on Julia's website at fabrics to use for this pattern, this was my choice. Since making this garment up, I haven't been very happy with this fabric because it has bobbled quite a lot in the time that I've made it. I haven't worn it loads, but obviously I've worn it enough for it to bobble, which is a bit of a shame really, because this fabric wasn't cheap. So I have found that quite annoying. The pattern itself was absolutely lovely to make, very straightforward to follow the instructions, and it came together beautifully. The only thing I did was that the sleeves were slightly short for me, so I just used a narrower hem. I shall just pan you down so you can see it fully. You'll probably see the cable now a lot better. I mean, it does look quite nice on screen, but if you get really, really close, you'll probably see that it has bobbled, especially down the edges. Anyway, I shall stand back. It's washing me out a little bit, but it's got pockets, which I have put on because I wanted to give that a go, because I've not done that on my Blackwood cardigans. The difference with this compared to the Blackwood cardigan is that it has a lot more room in the sleeves, and it is a drop shoulder as well, which I quite like. So the fit of it is a lot more generous. I made the extra small, which is the smallest size that they do, so it is very roomy. It has a facing here. Now this isn't supposed to be sewn down, but I actually tacked it by hand just to stop it from flapping out, because I did find it was starting to creep out even though I'd understitched it as well. I suppose it's just the weight of the fabric, it wanted to just come out. And when I hand tacked it down, I didn't do a very good job of keeping the stitches very hidden. As you can see on the front, you'll probably see, you can see my hand tacking. I haven't undone that, purely because you can't see it really from afar, and I really don't want to undo it all again. But I am really pleased with it, and I have worn it quite regularly when I felt a bit nippy around the house and in the garden, so it has served its purpose. So I do really like the pattern, don't get me wrong, it's just the fabric that I felt has spoilt it for me, purely because of it bobbling. So if I was to make it again, I think it would look lovely in a boucle fabric, and perhaps a slightly different ponteroma with a better quality, you know, a better quality ponteroma that isn't going to bobble. But yes, like I say, I have worn it when I have been feeling quite chilly, and because of the generous sleeve width, it's nice to be able to put it on over long sleeve tops and not have that all get bunched up like I find it does with the Blackwood cardigan. So it is quite nice to just be able to throw on over something. And like I say, it is very generous in its size, so I shall turn around for you to see as well. So there is quite a lot at the back here, and that's the extra small. If you wanted to make it smaller, I would say just literally nip it in at the side seams and under, you know, just do a larger seam allowance basically. So that's basically all my makes then that I have been making since February. I have actually made another couple of items, I tell a lie, a couple of things for my sons, which I will show you on a future vlog. It was some pattern tests, so I can't actually show you that at the moment, so you'll see that on a future makes vlog. Also, I have forgotten to tell you, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, is that I was contacted by Caroline and Fliss of Felicity Fabrics, and they asked me to be part of their blogger team, and I was just absolutely flabbergasted and overwhelmed to have been asked. It was absolutely lovely, you know, I was so excited to be part of their team. So I have now already made the outfit that I will be sharing on their blog. So I hope that you will enjoy having a read of that review of the pattern. And so obviously won't tell you what that is at the moment. So that will be on another makes vlog, and I'll also do a separate vlog just going into more detail about the pattern as well, because I do have quite a lot to say about it. So you'll see my Rosa Shirtdress pattern review coming up, and then the other pattern that I've done for Felicity Fabrics, that coming up, as well as separate reviews. So please do like this video if you've enjoyed what you've seen, and consider subscribing if you're not already. Hello to everybody who has recently subscribed to my channel. It's really lovely to have you here. I think I am now nearing 3,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. I know I was banging on about it sort of back end of last year that I'd reached 2,000 subscribers and I wanted to do a giveaway. I have obviously since made the pattern weights ready to give away to one of you lovely people, but obviously in the current circumstances the postal situation is quite bad, so obviously I am holding that back at the moment to do that at a later date when the postal services sort of resume to its you know, more normal standard. So yes, that will be in the future. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you have enjoyed the content. If you have done so, please do give me that thumbs up and consider subscribing if you aren't already. If you are a new subscriber, welcome to my channel. I hope you do enjoy what you see. I always do a thorough review of everything that I've made. I do some tutorials from time to time, and also some pattern hauls and things from time to time as well. So my next vlog that I'll be uploading will actually be a pattern and fabric haul. So I've recently had some new fabrics and patterns that I'd like to share with you. And then I'll also bring those 2 reviews to you on the blogger posts. So until next time, I shall see you soon. Bye!